I have used a previous member's statement to draw attention to the fact that the First and Deputy First Ministers had been sitting on the answer to a question originally tabled by my predecessor and then tabled again by myself when I was co-opted into this House. The question was simple, indeed a factual one. It was to establish how much public money did the First and Deputy First Minister spend in their trip to Washington in March 2024. On Friday, I finally got the answer. Tellingly, this was after the Information Commissioner stepped in and required the ministers to respond to an FOI submitted by Adrian Rutherford from the Belfast Telegraph. We now know, over the course of 4 days, the Executive Office spent an eye-watering $54,000 of public money. $38,000 on travel, $13,000 on accommodation, $3,000 on other expenses. Each minister travelled with a special advisor, their private secretary and their press officer. Oh, the best bit, they also brought a photographer with them to catch their special moments together. Members, what a waste of money, and it's frankly obscene. To spend $54,000 of taxpayers' money in 4 days and then come to this House time and time again to lament that there is no money for vital services, that's simply outrageous. The vast majority of my constituents couldn't dream of spending such a sum of money, even after many years of savings. Indeed, many of them wouldn't even bring in a fraction of the $54,000 into their household in a year. Shame on Michelle O'Neill. Shame on Emma Little-Pengelly. Now we know why, for so long, this question went unanswered.
Thank you. That draws to a conclusion. Point of order, Mr. Gaston.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to draw to your attention again the issue which I raised in members' statements regarding the Executive Office. In response to a point of order from the member for North Belfast, Mr Philip Brett, on the 18th of February, you said you could go down the Freedom of Information Act route if the information is not forthcoming. However, in most instances, MLAs should not have to go down that route because they have access to questions to ministers. On a number of occasions, I have raised in this House the fact that the First and Deputy First Minister had failed to answer a question about the cost of the trip to Washington in 2024. On Friday, the answer of $54,000 of public money that was blown in just 4 days was revealed. However, as today's Belfast Telegraph shows, the data was only released to a journalist on the same day it was released to myself because the Information Commissioner got involved. Mr. Speaker, surely that situation isn't acceptable, and the MLA should be able to get answers to questions without having to go to the ICO.
Well, I think the member knows, and all members know, what my position is in these matters, that this House represents the public and ministers are representing the government, and the public require answers of ministers, and they shouldn't get those answers through freedom of information. They should get those answers through members' questions. And therefore, when you ask a question, the logic of that is that there is an answer forthcoming. To not answer something for a year is clearly not acceptable. And whilst this office has no sanction over the ministers in this front, it is abundantly clear what the expectation is, what the standing orders are, and for ministers to comply with the standing orders on that front. Moving on.